Welcome to Watching Football Week with your host, one half of that dynamic duo, Sean Spencer, and South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer.
Don't play us if you're undefeated.
Where we celebrate past success while looking to a bright future. There's a youth movement in Washington, and they're ready to take the reins, led by a fire force. It's a new day, a new dawn, no longer the laughing stock. It's time to take command.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let Talk Football. And it's Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. You know what that means. Happy Hump Day! And I'm with my guy. I'm with my guy, the coolest guy from South Carolina, Mr. Will Kramer. What up, Will? Will? Did it freeze? What happened?
I'm spinning right now.
Oh, snap.
Are you able to hear me at least?
I can hear you. I can hear you, but it's definitely frozen.
Oh,
What's up, Nathan?
we're back. We're back.
Okay. All right, cool. Will Kramer. Will.
Okay.
Spinning again?
All right, Sean. It's looking good on my end. How's it on your end?
Oh, we're good. I can hear you. It's a little choppy, but we're good.
I don't know what in the world just has happened.
We're gonna log out and come back in.
Let's give it a second, and then if I have to. All of a sudden, we were good.
Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. Trying to figure out these technical difficulties. Apparently, Dan Snyder still has his fingers on the Wi-Fi. Looks like you're back. Are you back? It looks like you're cool right now.
It's delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
try to get into
it's a little bit delayed, but let's give it a try.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Watching the Football Weekly. It's your boy,
We're
Sean
back.
Spencer.
We're back.
All right, there we go. See that? Resiliency. I love it. Perseverance. Let's go. Will, what's up, man? And we're
Oh man. Well, don't know really what happened there, but glad we're back. We're back working. Very, very excited to talk about preseason. That's all I can say. Very excited to talk about preseason, talk about the Ravens, week 1, week 2. We got some joint practices. We got football back. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we had our first preseason game. As you know, we were able to get the W 17-14. You're not really looking for wins in preseason unless you're the Baltimore Ravens. But we'll get to that a little bit later. One thing I did want to say before we get into this recap, I don't know if you heard this, but first and foremost, it was great to hear Brian Mitchell and Chick Hernandez on the call for the preseason game. But midway through the game,
yes,
Chick Hernandez was commenting about Washington. He said, "Yeah, man, and the Redskins, the Commanders," and it was like, oh, he caught himself. Nobody said anything after that, but I was kind of like, wait a minute, come on, did you hear that?
Yeah, I totally heard that. I was actually had in my like when we talk about positives from the game, I was gonna laugh because like Chick Hernandez refused to call them the Commanders. He kept calling them the Burgundy and Gold. You know, only when he was like touchdown, Commanders take the lead. He's like, but he'd be like Burgundy and Gold with the first down, another first down for Burgundy and Gold. Like, I was like, he does not want to say Commanders. And then I heard that. I was like, wow, I mean, we're 3 years removed from that, and he still had that slip up. That's kind of surprising.
Oh yeah. Red skins. Okay, red skins. I'll say it. I got no problem with it, Ben. What up, Ben? Yeah. So look, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get into. Oh, I see it. Yes, sir. Love that Swearinger. Love that. So look, we're gonna get into it a little bit before or after we dive into our preseason game. Obviously, we're gonna look forward to the next preseason game, the Battle of '95. Nathan Snell will join us again to talk about his Baltimore Ravens, the joint practices, and what to expect in the coming week. But let's go ahead and get into this game. Like we said, we got the W, and we went through some keys to success last week. Let's recap some of those, Will. What was one of your keys to success, and did we accomplish that?
Yeah. So my keys we did pretty well on. So my very first one that I'll talk about is having some fast plays with Sam Howell. I was really concerned with making him comfortable in his first preseason game as a starter, and I thought they accomplished that. I thought that he showed that he knew where to take the ball when it needed to, including the two plays that I loved were the two plays he threw the ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
It's like it's preseason. He could be forcing it. It really doesn't matter. But it just shows that he understands the bigger parts of the game. And I really enjoyed seeing that. He showed me that this game is not too fast for him. It's he had a lot of poise. So I love that they found fast plays, easy stuff that he could get to and get his throw off, and he did well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Poise. That's what I get. Everybody, for a while, we've all been saying moxie, this and that. There was a lot of poise in that game. Like you said, he took what the defense gave him. He didn't do too much. And even on that touchdown, you could see him, like when the camera cuts to him, he starts getting excited, and then he kind of calms himself down. It's like, I've been here before. And I love that. It's like we haven't done anything yet. But we'll get into that because I definitely want to touch on my guy. You know how we're doing today. My first one was energy. And honestly, I think this is a tale of kind of two parts to this. We started off flat, in my opinion. On offense, I thought we started off like we had a couple decent plays. The first play of the game, Leno gives up, that blocks the edge and shuts down the run play. But obviously, we're able to get some passes going, and Sam, started off well. But once we got that penalty, which was on the drop pass, but we also got the holding. We got behind the chains. We tried the run play. We just got deflated. And then we give them the ball, and then they march all the way down the field. And technically, if you really go back and look at that tape, if they would have gone and challenged that second down run, that could have been potentially a touchdown. Yeah, without a doubt. So I didn't think the energy really came until the goal line stand. Once they stopped it, and then you saw Montez Sweat tackle in the backfield, take his helmet off, run to the sideline. That's when you started to see things change. Maybe not necessarily for the offense, because in that second drive, as you saw, it was a struggle. Mind you, we were back in our own, end zone. But at the same time, we just looked a little flustered, in my opinion. Hey, fellas, Ab is watching. What's going on, Ab?
Nice. Hey, Ab.
Yeah, but so we're talking about our keys to success. Energy was my first one. I think eventually, midway through, when Sam got rolling, when Jacoby Brissett came in there, we were clicking. That defense was shutting them down. At one point in this ball game, it's 17-2, and we were really kind of shutting it down. Then obviously we let the rest of the backups and the second and third team get in, and they came back in there. And that's where the energy fell off again, because in the middle we were good, beginning and the end. It's a struggle for me. So that was mine. But where else did you go with the keys? Spin it again. Will, you here?
So I'm gonna go with the negative out there, and this may surprise you a little bit. So I'm gonna talk about Percy Butler. Yeah. Am I coming through good?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna talk about Percy Butler because I think it was interesting. I was watching him and I was looking to see him make some plays. And while he had the interception and people could say, hey, look at that, look at the rise he's making, I'm actually going to go the opposite ways and say I didn't see him flash in the same way that I saw Jeremy Reeves flash out there.
Yes.
And so, yeah, he got the interception out there, but there was Jeremy Reeves and then the other corner, and I don't want to spoil my positives out there, though. But Percy Butler, I didn't see him show as much as I'm hoping to this preseason. So I think he's still got some stuff to work on to make that impact. So he was like one of my keys to success. I didn't really see it from him.
Oh yeah. Oh I get that. Ben said sounds like a guy named Dan is messing with the Wi-Fi again. Yes, he's still trying to get rid of us. Yeah. No, I get that. And look, I'm gonna not piggyback on defense, but piggyback on the negative because my second thing was attention to detail. We have EB coming in here. We've heard all off season how he's been really getting on the guys and he ran the play, even if it was successful. If it wasn't done the right way, he wants it run again. So in my opinion, the things that I'm thinking, attention to detail means, penalties, turnovers, smart football. Obviously, it's the first preseason game. So you're going to get a couple, you're going to get stuff and you want stuff so that you can, correct it. You have something to go back and look at. But what was the big thing I harped on last year? Third downs. We were 3 of 11 on third downs. Penalties were huge. 7 of 55 for penalties, including that holding by Wiley in the end zone that caused the safety. It's mental stuff. We can't do those type of things. And then, obviously, the 2 interceptions. Mind you, they were from the backup quarterbacks, one from Jacoby and one from Fromm. But still, we got to be clean. We got to be clean. And again, like I said, this is all stuff that we can work on. And it's stuff that you can point out on the tape and say, hey, now what did you see here? Let's fix that. And I'm good with that. But at the same time, we are expecting to be a lot different. The third down percentage, the penalties, the stupid interceptions, these are type of things that hurt us last year. So these are the things that I think we have to nip in the bud. At the end of the day, you don't want to see the penalties, the interceptions, things like that. But like I said, it is learning. It's stuff that we can learn from. So I'm good with it, but we still need to focus on attention to detail before we get to game 1.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we talked all about last year. We can't overcome our mistakes, and you saw some of that. Let me tell you something. I tell you how I don't watch the second half of preseason. I had no idea Jake Fromm threw an interception.
Yep.
I just learned that tonight.
Yeah.
Had no idea. So thank you for informing me of that. I actually don't give Jacoby any. I don't rip on him about his interception. I think he's got enough veteran moxie that in the regular season he's not going to pull a Carson Wentz and throw that. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, seeing that we can talk when we get to our negatives about what offensive lineman did not have a good debut. But I want to talk about one that did, because my last keys to success was the offensive line being physical, finally getting a chance to really hit someone other than their teammates. And we've got a battle at left guard, and the guy who got to play was pretty impressive. I actually heard a lot of praise for both of our guards, Chris Paul on the left side and Sam Cosmi on the right. It was a lot of praise for these guys, saying, "Hey, our guards look good." As there was the other side that was having some struggles. So kudos to Chris Paul and getting the first opportunity. I mean, we've heard from the defensive linemen last year and this year. They're like, dude, this man's strong. He's tough to go up against. And so there could be something there. And so he did a really good job in his first opportunity. He played really well against Dallas, and then he's just played really well here in this first preseason game. So good for him for seizing the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And I honestly, for one, I talked about him last week. He's somebody that I want to see take this opportunity and push it. At the very least, push the number one. I like that you said we have a battle there. That's what we want. Iron sharpens iron. Let these guys push each other. And if Chris Paul is the guy for the job, I go back to the first play I said where Leno let the edge guy come in and make the tackle. Chris Paul had the seal. He had it sealed there. So if Leno was able to push this guy out, there's a hole right over there on that left side. But obviously one missed block can be the difference on the play. So I'm excited to see what Chris Paul brings. As far as my last thing that I thought, and I know a lot of mine are more vague and not necessarily onto players, but I think this was so key, and it's fan support. And I'm going to say something. I thought we did have fan support, but you know who was the biggest fan in that game? Josh Harris. That's what I'm talking about. Josh Harris was in the stands talking to the fans, talking to the media. The best thing about this game, I think it was News 4 at the end of the game, was interviewing JP Finley. JP Finley was in outside the locker room talking this and that. And he looks back and he says, I think that's Josh Harris over there. I think I'm going to try to get an interview, right? They kind of cut away for a bit, and he comes back, and Harris obliges, comes over there and has an impromptu interview in the first preseason game, and it's not even at home. Come on, Will. We couldn't even talk to Dan. We didn't want to talk to Dan. And Josh Harris is giving interviews to people on the sidelines, people in the stands, and Art Jenkins Finley, Logan Paulson. And there's one huge thing, and I know I might be spilling this my positives, but I'm so excited because when I talk about fan support, we all know what our fans are like. We all know where we go and how excited we get. But when you have an owner that has that same kind of excitement and he's really trying to build this community, when he was asked, he was told both times, he said, how do you feel that your team on the first game, how do you feel they're doing? He said, well, first of all, this is not my team. This is the city's team. And I'm really looking forward to doing, to helping us win and do this and that, but we got a long way to go. Woo! You passed my test, Josh. Come on, baby. I love it. So for me, it started there. Then on top of that, I said we need to travel, and we did. Cleveland, it was right. It had Commanders fans in there that went. I told you that, Kat and I had discussed it. So that for me is huge. That energy is what I wanted on for the full game. Now we got it towards the middle, but that right there, I think is so huge. Coming off what we came from, that is big for me. So I love it.
My gosh. It was a breath of fresh air to see your owners sitting there wearing a raincoat and a hat watching the team play. Not up in a fancy dry suite, in a suit the way the previous owner would have been. So I mean, he is truly a man of the people, and we can tell. Hey, Ben, you got a great question. We are definitely going to get to it, and we'll do it right in between our game recap and then go into joint practice because it is a great thought process that Nate may even want to jump in on too. See what his thoughts are. But yeah, no, that was such a welcome sight. I'm with you, man. That was so cool to see. I'm like this, like we're so fortunate right now to have this guys
right. Again, it's the first preseason game, pump your brakes for all this other stuff. But I'm sorry, that is something that I will get excited about, even more than my quarterback Sam Howell being the starter and all that stuff. Because to been through what we've been through, you go from Jack Cook, which was our darling. Everybody loved this man. Then you go to Dan Snyder, who everybody literally loathed, to Josh Harris. It's just their first couple games, but still, it's a good step. It's a good step in the right direction.
Absolutely. Well, listen, man, I want to talk about your guys. So can we hit this positive and negatives? I asked you to wear your jersey for a reason.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. The first preseason game, obviously, you're going to get a little bit of both in this. There was positives. There was negatives. Will, you can go because I will always let you talk about my Tar Heel. Go ahead and talk about it, man.
Yeah. So I didn't want to share too much earlier when I talked about, could he get the ball out quickly? But you said the word that was completely correct, poised. I was so impressed with Sam Howell out there. You said he looked poised. He looked comfortable out there. He did not look like a fifth-round pick, like a mid to late-round draft pick quarterback out there. The moment was not too big for him. You saw him with the ability to stand in the pocket and and scan his receivers and figure out where to go. He was able to show his athleticism. He scrambled for a first down on the first drive. On the second or third drive, he bought some time, and then threw a completed pass on fourth down. So he's looking downfield with the ball as well. I was just really impressed with him, and it's like we've been talking kind of off air and a few times on here. It's like, well, I mean, if we can win 7-8 games with Taylor Heineke, like he can't be too bad. And it's like I'm at the point where like guaranteed, like I messed Jack because I was like, hey, the Commanders right now have a 6.5 spread or over under on wins. And I was like, pound that over. Let's go put in a bet. Like we are not going to go 4-13 this year with this guy. A lot can still change, but Sam Howell showed me he's got what it takes to be a quality quarterback in this league. He's capable. He can do it. And then the next thing that I loved about that was one of the things I had said I wanted to watch was this is Eric Bieniemy's first chance at calling plays. This is really his offense. And when the offensive line is struggling, he didn't just keep going back to the well and call in the same place. He said, all right, I'm going to get you moving. I'm going to get you out of that pocket. And he moved Sam around to change his platform to throw from. And it didn't just let all this rush happen in his face. And I love that. I love that he said, okay, well, if my first game plan is not working, let me do what I can do, because EB's job is to make Sam Howell comfortable out there and make him look good and give him, good opportunities, easy throws, that type of stuff. And I thought the two of them looked really good together.
Yeah, and you can tell the practice was there. You can tell the terminology was there. But also, when we talk about poise, there's something about some of these quarterbacks. One of the things, Joe Montana. I am not comparing Sam to Joe Montana. What I am comparing is that poise, that calm under pressure. If you look at those first two drives, they weren't great. We started off first drive good, but I wouldn't even say we started off good, because even the play that he scrambled on third down, it was shut down. He just used his ingenuity, got out of the pocket and scrambled and got the first down. So I love that. But at the same time, things weren't looking good. Logan Paulson said something during the game that I thought was quite interesting, and maybe this is what EB was doing. And those first couple drives, he put in a lot of different sets, a lot of different formations, and tried out a lot of different things to kind of see, okay, what's going to work, what's here, what's there. It wasn't until the third drive that you really started to see that run game pick up and then really, pay attention to running the ball, which definitely helped open things up for Sam a little bit. But you have the poise. He was 9 of 12, 77 yards and a touchdown. And I love that EB made sure that he played the whole first quarter, but made sure that he went out on a good note. Made sure that he went out after that pass to Jahan Dotson for the touchdown, which, not to bring my negatives, and this is not a negative, but you'll be surprised, I was not happy with that pass.
It was a catchable ball.
Yeah, he basically, if the corner and safety was closer, the corner would have blown him up. If you look at that, if you look at the play, you look at the route, there was so much separation until the pass was thrown. He had those corners juked out of their socks, and then all of a sudden had to turn around and catch it. So I was really upset with Sam on that. I'm not going to lie. But again, preseason, whatever. But
you're right, because with Taylor Heineke, it's as long as he makes it catchable, we expect him to catch it. So you're right, it could have been more accurate. You're absolutely right.
Well, but that's my thing. I hold him, and you know how I do, Will. I hold him to such a high standard, much higher than I've held a lot of these other quarterbacks, just because I know what he's capable of. So when I see that type of pass, I'm like, oh, great, it was a touchdown, but he had to turn around for it. Jahan was passed. I was just, So, but I'm not taking anything away from how he started. You said he started off 4 or 5. I mean, and had it not been for that penalty and Bates had some daggone hands, he put the ball in the right spot. Every time. Even on those plays that were on that drive where it was like second and 20, and third and 30, something like that, he still was hitting the checkdowns. He wasn't trying to get it all back at once. He was hitting those checkdowns, hitting Brian Robinson, hitting those underneath routes, and just, get the completion, move the ball, get that confidence in there. You know what I mean? Even on the sack that he took, I believe in the first drive, there's a check down. Ryan Robinson was right underneath, and they had Jahan Dotson crossing. And I felt like he, first of all, I think it was either center or the guard missed the block, but I felt like he looked and hesitated and then just took it and got sacked. But even that's smart. He's not showing what a rookie or young quarterback would do. Let me just make something happen. He said, let me live to see another day. And I like you, I think two of his best plays were the two incomplete passes, because one thing I circled and I harped on is decision making.
Yeah.
That his decision making might not be elite right now, but it is definitely a solid all-pro decision maker, because he's not having to do too much. Right. He's taking what they're giving him, and I love it. But I'm not going to be on here all day talking about my quarterback, man. So to talk about some of your other positives you had, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, something you talked about that third drive. You know who was in at center on that third drive?
Who?
Tyler Larson.
Oh,
always. He can't stay healthy, but I mean, the man, they were talking earlier is about, could he be a roster cut, because he really is only, or roster casualty, because he's a center. That's it. It's like, all right, the backups, do we need someone who can do a little bit more? And I also need to point out, at that point, Sedarius Smith was out, and we saw the pass rush that he had, and they were not going up against all of the Brown starters. Right. Myles Garrett didn't even play.
I was about to say, he didn't even play.
So let's be honest here. But I noticed. I said, oh, the run game picked up. Who's at center? Oh, Tyler Larson's in. Okay, well, not surprised there. But the other, let's see, the other one that I saw. Well, we kind of hit some of them. We talked about EB and then Tyler Larson. So my negatives. So if you got a positive, you go with it. Then I've got some negatives.
Okay, yeah. So one of my positives was the rushing game. Yeah. That was big. I think that is what really helped us, and we started then moving the ball. Sam Howell had that long drive. Jacoby Brissett had that long drive where he ended up running it in for a 16-yard touchdown. Mm-hmm. The running game is going to be key for us. And one of the things that I thought to myself, and I wanted to talk to you about, was we've heard when Scott Turner was here, and before we even got EB, this is a run team. What did Mayhew say? We're going to run, and then we can't do that anymore. We're going to run some more, that type of thing. And run old running back, I love that. But that's not realistic in nowadays NFL. So it looked like they were early trying to figure out this one. Let me see what's this. And he was hitting the passes and everything like that, but they weren't consistently moving it till they got on the ground. Loved what B-Rob did. Just 16 yards. Did what he needed to do. Like I told you, Jacoby Brissett. But C. Rodriguez out of Kentucky. Yes, against the 2s and the 3s, but still churning. That first carry comes in there and boom, lays a pop, and is just moving his feet and getting more yards. And I remember thinking like, yeah, all right, young man, I see what you bring to the table. And I love that, because he's trying to make the team. Now, who else? Frank Gore was in, or not Frank Gore, but Garrett Gore, he got a catch. He didn't really do much in the running game. Patterson got 16 yards on the ground. We had over, as a whole, 27 carries, over 100 yards. I think it was 111 yards total. That's key. We need that. We need to get over 100 yards on the ground. We need to chew up that clock. We did lose the time of possession battle and the total yards battle, but I feel like that was a lot because we had that spot in the middle where we got up and then we took the foot off the gas, and then we just kind of stopped doing our offense. And obviously the backups and all that stuff were in, but that for me goes a little bit into my negatives. But the rushing was there. And the only other thing I want to say is the resiliency. I thought that was big. We started off poor, like we talked about, and then we were able to kind of come back and then go. At one point, it was he had scored like 17 unanswered points on that. So I think one of the things that's huge, and I think it goes with that whole drive that we have, it started with the defensive stand. And if you look at that drive, there was no stopping. Like they just drove right down the field. Sure. How many times did Deshaun Watson break out? Shout out to Chase Young, who almost got in there, got the sack, but he did not, and they were able to move up. Brian Mitchell was saying it during the game, how these defensive ends are shooting up too much and they're leaving it open for these quarterbacks to come out, which I'm not going to get ahead of myself with my negatives. But after how it looked on that first drive, on our first couple drives, the fact that we kept going, kept playing, kept moving on, and put some things together that we can be good on, that's huge. Because I don't know if the past team would have done that. I think they might have just said, call it quits, or let's go on to the next one. EB said, we're going to keep this thing going and keep it charged up. And I love that.
They did. They had a much better attitude in preseason. I mean, the fact that the defense, we talked all the time, they bend but don't break. They give you a whole bunch of yards and they clamp down inside the 20. So it was a little bit like, oh, man, I thought we were supposed to fix this here.
Right.
But I did love, and this is kind of going to go into, I do have a couple more positives, and it goes into the DBs and the fact that who made that stop on the third down on that goal line?
Forbes, baby.
Manny Forbes. He got physical in there, you know, and some of the other DBs played well outside of the starters. Like I said already, Jeremy Reeves was flying around. He was everywhere in the pass game, in the run game. Every time I see this guy play, I just keep asking myself, why is he not starting? Why is he not getting more playing time? Because all I do is I see him always around the ball. So I am a huge Jeremy Reeves fan. The other guy who almost maybe in this game played himself onto the roster was last year's 7th round pick, Christian Holmes.
Ooh, yes.
And now he got beat a couple times, but then he recovered and punched the ball out. So a little bit I was like, he was, the guy was open. So he got beat on the route, but he's talking about being resilient and everything. He was around that and preventing the guy from catching it or moving and just getting, but he was physical in there. All of them were physical. Our DBs, they swarm tackle. I love seeing there was just some swagger out there from these guys about hitting. Even Wild Goose was around making some plays. And so it was like, wow, our DBs really impressed me. I was really, watching them a lot. All I can say this though, I knew you were going to talk about Rodriguez. We talked prior, like you're going to focus on the running backs, but go check the tape from the spring, because I said this about him in Kentucky. When South Carolina would play them, I would say it's not about Will Levis. It's not about Wan'Dale Robinson. You have to stop Rodriguez if you want to slow down Kentucky. He was a good college back. And, one of the things that as we get to talk about joint practices is, we just may not have been able to see what he can do in practice against his own teammates. But now you got a chance where he could run that guy over, Right. He can run into this guy instead of just, all right, well, you touched. Okay, so the play's dead, that you could have in practice. So, it'll be fun to watch more of him this preseason.
Yeah, I love that. He doesn't avoid contact. He go, like you said, runs right into the guy, and just moves those feet, man. Keeps digging for those yards. So I absolutely love that. One more, because I did mention it last week. The two things I was looking at was obviously the run game and our tight ends. Now, after that Bates drop early, I was ready to just be like, well, forget it. We're not throwing a tight ends this year. Right. But, hey, I shouted him out randomly, and he came through. The boy you were talking about all last year, Cole Turner, 4 catches on 4 targets, 31 yards, including the 4th down catch he had. He had a couple really nice ones. Honestly, good. A year late, but still good. Yes. Nonetheless, let's go. Keep it going. Keep it going. I need to see your blocking a little bit better. But this is the threat that we wanted and we expected from you. Yeah. 3rd down, 4th down. When we need that 1st down, we can go to you. And he came open. He played well for us. So I was excited to see him while also being very frustrated with Mr. Bates, because that pass was a dime right on. Now, it wouldn't have mattered anyway because of the holding penalty. But still, God, he threw it right into your hands. And I'm like, come on, Bates. Yep. Come on, man. Mm-hmm. So, but look, let's go into that, because that could obviously be an easy segue to my negatives. But I'm going to start with this, talking about the passing game. Something we talked about last year a lot, that we had an issue with Scott Turner and his play calling. And it wasn't until It wasn't until Taylor Heineke came in the game that we started doing this, throwing the damn ball to Terry McLaurin. Now, I respect that this is a preseason game, but you have him in the preseason game. You did not get a pass to him until the 2nd play of the 2nd quarter. You can't tell me that you couldn't run a simple slant to him and just get his feet wet. Okay, you can still take him out the game. Like, preseason, but if that's a trend, we need to break that trend. If he's the leader, give him the rock. I don't get that. So for me, that is a little. You talked about it last year you talked about it earlier about, are we seeing certain things that we were supposed to get fixed this all season? He's your bread and butter. Get him the daggone ball. That frustrates me. That does. He's my guy, man.
Sean, you're yelling at them for not throwing the ball to Terry in a preseason game.
Yes, I am. All right.
Now I will jump on that bandwagon if it's week 1 and they're not doing this. You crack me up.
That's right.
My negative is going to be Andrew Wiley.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious, for everyone to know. Very rough debut, and also, this is where you start getting some of it. Well, the Chiefs had 5 offensive linemen and he was the worst of the 5, and they let him go and they start having this revisionist history of like, wait a minute. We signed him on the very first day, but the first time he could ink something. What does that tell you? He took the best offer he could, knowing this was where he could get paid. So those are all just the easy, like, doomsday that people are talking about. But he didn't start off well. He did, he had multiple penalties. He had the one that caused a sack, or the safety, even though Chick Hernandez called it on Charles Leno. And then did you hear Leno's wife got blasted on Twitter because of this? So all these Commanders fans started yelling at his wife, basically just saying like, what's going on here? It's too bad on that. So yeah, Wiley struggled, but one of the things that we got to remember is, again, same thing. This was the first time out there, the first time they were playing as a unit. And you mentioned it. EB was also trying different formations. It's like, I don't think we need to go run into to try and get Eric Fisher to come out of retirement or off his couch to come play for us just right now. But it's a concern, and we'll have to see. I think he'll be, good with these joint practices. And then, it's going to be one of those things I'm watching for against the Ravens is, can he have a bounce back performance?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Who wrote that? Because I had to turn off everything. As an app, yeah. Oh yeah. That's the key. I mean, that could be our Achilles heel this year. So it's gonna be, can we improve that?
Oh yeah. And another one of our Achilles heels might be our defensive line against mobile quarterbacks.
Always.
We seem to have an issue with them. Deshaun Watson had, 8 carries for 30 some odd yards. A couple times we had him in the grass, but he's a bigger, stronger quarterback, and he was able to get away. And that's one thing. But then you get Kellen Mond coming here, and he's running on us, and it's like, wait, what? Come on! But it goes back to that attention to detail. And we talked about some of the things that Chase had an issue with being when he was kind of uncoachable, which he's running up the field and trying to do, one-on-one stuff and not thinking about the whole scheme of the defense. So you're giving that quarterback an opportunity to step up in the pocket or even giving him a lane to get, down the field. So that's killer, especially going into this week. Obviously, we're not going to see, the million-dollar man, the multi-million-dollar man, Lamar Jackson, as much. But Huntley, he's a scrambling quarterback. That can run around, and you know what I mean? So, and that offense is kind of more towards the scrambling quarterback. So that's something that, especially going down the line, when you have a Daniel Jones, when you have Dak Prescott who can move, he's mobile out of pocket. And then obviously Jalen Hurts, you need to be focused on stopping these mobile quarterbacks. And at the very least, just get them down. Just bring them down. You know what I mean? So,
we're the only ones who make Deshaun Watson look like an all-pro since he's come back.
Yeah. Yep.
Two games in a row now. It's like, God, can we get this?
Come on, man.
I know. I'm with you. We'll kind of go in there where you talked about how Chase is the only one who got his hands on him. Is my negative is the injuries that happened in the game. Chase Young getting the stinger, and it happened in the first drive. Like he played 3-4 snaps, and that was it, and he was out. So that obviously is a concern, as this is a big season for him. But the bigger one is for Darian Mathis, Big Phil. Because we got to see what he's got. We're anticipating him being on the on the depth chart, a rotational piece. We know we've got with him and with Ridgeway, we've got some guys who can come in and play, but we got to see it. And plus, he's coming off a knee injury last year. So you never know if, that first year he can actually, fire off and be a good player. And now he's just got a calf injury. So it's like, if you're already recovering a knee injury, now you just have a calf injury. Is he going to be able to live up and be healthy for us this year and be productive for us? I guess if I got a positive, my boy Benning Potatoes now going to step up. And I mean, they've already been talking in training camp how this guy's good. He's real tough. So I'm going to be watching for him here. But like Big Phil we need him to get healthy to get back because otherwise we might need to be moving on. I'm not talking cutting, but if you're hurt, you got to go on IR so we can use that roster spot for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we talk about this ad nauseum. The best ability is availability, and unfortunately, you got hurt. You were out all last year. But I too, once he was kind of gimpy, walking off the field, I too was kind of like, this ain't good for you. Yeah, like come on, man.
Well, what it caused me to do is I went in to look at the NFL draft here as we're having struggles on the offensive line, and we passed on Cody Mock, and then Phil Mathis goes out injured, and I looked back at the draft going 2 years ago, all right, so who could we have picked instead of this guy who's now injured again?
Golly. Yeah, man. So that we definitely have to pay attention to that. My last one, I had a couple, but we talked about it. I had the slow start, and gave up a lot of yards in that first opening drive to Deshaun Watson and that whole team. So obviously those are big, but I already kind of discussed those. My thing, who did I talk about? Who have I been talking about? My guy, De'Ami Brown. He had one catch. He only got targeted twice.
Oh, that's
but
a
still,
negative?
Huh?
This is a negative?
Yes.
I was going to give him a positive, and then we had too many.
No. If I am De'Ami Brown right now, and again, I hold him at a higher standard. Tar Heel guy, I've watched him. I know how threatening he can be. Beavich even said it. This guy's got speed. This guy can go on that. He definitely can take the top off the defense. But if I'm him, I'm in front of the coach and annoying coach. I'll block. Coach, let me run. Let me do something. Get in his face. One of the things that our coach used to tell us is if I don't know your name, then how are you going to expect to get in there? You know what I mean? De'Ami's got the ability to do it, but it doesn't matter. At practice, if you do it at training camp in front of the fans, that's cute, that's great. But you need to do it when there's tape, where you can put it on tape, so that even if it doesn't work out here, you can go somewhere else, man. But one catch on 2 targets, and maybe he wasn't in the scheme, but still, I'm like, Coach, can I get in? Can I do something? And my college quarterback is a starter. I'm going to Sam, man, talk to him for me, man. Get me in this thing. De'Ami, man, I need more than one catch. Albeit it was a great catch, and actually, and this is also another negative. If they reviewed that catch, it might not have been a catch. If you look, that second foot was close. I don't know if it came down, but they ran it out. They just kept playing it afterwards. So, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Tommy Meyer.
Yep, Tommy Meyer said, if I have to search for you, then you ain't getting in. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, that was and again, I know I'm being harsh on him, but this is what, year 3. Yeah. We've had such good expectation. Now you actually get one of the most rarest things involved with your college quarterback, who got you, that attention, got you 1,000 yards and all that stuff. You're with him now. Like, we need more. That's all.
I'm with you.
So, yeah, buddy. You have any more?
I don't.
There we go.
Let's get into this one. I love this question by Ben.
Oh yeah. You want to hit this real quick on the other side so we can bring Nate in for it?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a quick breather, and then we will be right back. We're going to bring in our guy, Mr. Nathan Snell. Be back in a second, maybe? Yes.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is.
What is going on, Nathan? How are you doing, my guy? Mute.
My bad. I'm good. How y'all doing?
We're doing good.
Doing well, man. Doing well. We're bringing you on. We're definitely going to talk about joint practices, but Will, bring up that comment again that Ben said, because I definitely think that was something we can bring Nate in.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Ben said, I want to get you guys' thoughts on how teams will only have one set of player cuts a season rather than the week-by-week set of cuts. Will it be easier or more of a challenge for coaches who decide to make their 53-man roster? What do you think, Nate?
I think you should wait till the end of preseason, personally, to make your cuts.
You think it's
you
easier,
support
though?
this?
Yeah, only because I feel like things change week by week. I mean, if you already seen like today, like, you know, the Ravens had to sign a corner because Marlon Humphrey's out. So there's always somebody who's going to get injured.
Is that because McLaurin has been cooking him?
No, that's because he didn't need he didn't have to worry about that offense that's trash.
Wow.
So
okay, all right, Nate, that's how we're playing. All right.
No, he is getting a foot surgery, so he's only out to week 1. I think if you do it week by week, I don't know. I feel like it should all let's see how some guys do. Like there could be a guy that didn't do well the first 2 preseason games, but he had a really good 3rd preseason game. I think it's really hard to after 3 to do it after each preseason game. Oh no, you're cut. Like I think it's easier if you do it towards the end. You should have an idea of, okay, I like this player. This player could go in the practice squad. This player could be better, and we could work with them. So I believe just do 1 set of cuts.
Oh yeah, no, I like that. I mean, I hear where you're coming from. You know, have it so everybody gets as much tape as possible. Now to play devil's advocate, and I'll send it to you, Will. To play devil's advocate, you can also say some of those guys that would have got cut maybe would give some other airtime and to other guys trying to make the team, and they would have maybe got another opportunity. But I mean, you don't know what would happen. Will, what are your thoughts on this? And this is okay.
Yeah, no, I think Nate brings up some great points about giving people, a chance. I feel like 90 to 53 is way too many cuts at one time. And so I do have a problem with that. I mean, I think there probably should be 2 waves of it because I do feel like you probably have 20 guys on there that you just know. We've seen enough. Mm-hmm. You're not even going to be practice squad eligible for us. And we're keeping your dream alive, but in reality, you're not number 54. You're number 88, on this roster. And so the dream is dying quickly. So I do think that's just a lot, but I mean, like Nate said, I do like the fact that come preseason game number 3, it gives, the players a chance. But, the other thing could be is if your numbers, 81 through 90, you may see the writing on the wall too. If in the 3rd preseason game, you're not getting much action or you don't get out at all, or, you dress, it's like, okay, well, here it is. So even though you don't have to play them just because they're on your training camp roster. So you can kind of go about it that way.
Oh yeah. Ab says, depends on perspective. I think it's better for team to wait to the end of preseason. Players week by week is better. So they can jump on to another team ASAP. Yeah, and that was kind of where I was coming from. Where with if you get a guy and you cut him in the first week, he now has time to maybe contact some other teams and maybe look elsewhere, go somewhere. As opposed to if they cut it at 53 right at the end of the preseason, then all of a sudden now you got to hope somebody gets hurt, unfortunately, so that you may end up getting a call.
Maybe the Bucs will cut Cody Mock.
Yes. Come on home. Let's go. Let's get it. But look, we got Nathan on here, and we all know he's definitely a Commanders fan, but he bleeds. You see the shirt. He bleeds that purple, baby.
It's a good one.
That purple. Yo, and Washington and Baltimore doing what they do best, going at it. And it's gotten a little physical.
Sure has.
Even calm Mark Andrews throwing people around. So, woo! What are your thoughts, man? What have you seen in these joint practices, and do you think they're good for both teams?
I guess from my perspective, there's a couple things that I've liked on Baltimore side. I think there's some good improvements from yesterday. From what Monk and Harbaugh said, that the offense struggled against the first team defense for Washington. I was surprised that Chase Young really wasn't out there as often. It's like he was out there every other play. That's how I interpreted it. So it's like they're still like taking it easy with him.
Very much so.
Zay Flowers, I think, in my personal opinion, is going to be a star in this league.
He's my fantasy guy.
He really within this joint practice really shined out. There is a couple guys that I'm still like on like OA. The offensive line still needs some work, particularly left guard. Personally, I'm done with Ben Cleveland. This is his last opportunity to prove something to me, and he's got to go. That's just how I feel about him personally. I just don't see any growth. I just feel like Ben Power should still be here, but that's okay. Defensively, everything looks pretty fun. I think the offense is starting to come together. Defensively, I think losing Marlon Humphrey for now, that stings. But for the practices, guys have been chirpy. Danny Johnson suffered an injury, being thrown to the ground. So Emmanuel Forbes and Tylen Wallace went at one another.
Yeah.
So the practices have been great. I'm not a true fan of the joint practices because just in terms of, I just think that's just more adding fuel to fire in terms of injuries.
Come my way.
Still dealing with a couple injuries. I do know that Ronnie Stanley was out. Something about regarding his ankle. Rocky Sin, I know, is dealing with a knee injury. Demarion Williams, ankle surgery. And then Voorhees, obviously, he was my sleeper in the draft. He's out for the year.
Right.
Bowser's on the physical, unable to perform this. Prochet just came back.
Now, don't go through your whole segment here yet.
No, I'm just saying those are guys that Harbaugh was talking about.
Gotcha. Okay.
With an observation. So everything's starting to click. So, yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Come my way. Come my way.
I got you. I got to try to throw you the oop, man. See, come on, brother. But look, I honestly, this is Ab said Baltimore just signed Ronald Darby.
Yeah. Played well for us.
But to his point, man, there have been a couple little scuffles, some action or whatever. And this is where, outside of the Cleveland game, it's like the first time we're actually getting to hit somebody with another jersey and it feels good, but I like this. This is the energy that I wanted going into this first game. It's going back and forth. And obviously, there are brothers up north, up 95, so it was going to get a little chippy. But I do like this, minus the injuries. I do like the energy and the iron sharpening iron. Both teams have high expectations. Baltimore, I'm not saying a Super Bowl or bust, but you guys have the caliber team to go farther in the playoffs. Yes. And for us, we have Sam Howell, so it's always Super Bowl or bust. But Will, what are your thoughts about the joint practices, man?
See, I love these, and I was so thrilled that Ron finally did this. And I've been wanting to see this for a while because I just feel at this point in training camp, I wonder how much better you're getting with the fact that your offensive line and defensive line are going up against the same guys. Your corners and wide receivers are going against the same thing. What moves are they going to see at this point to where they're not knowing tendencies out there? And are you really learning about your players? Or are they just picking up on the fact that, when he's going to do this move, let me counter it, to be prepared for it. And so going up against somebody that you don't know, I love it. I actually think the NFL should look into changing their model of preseason to say your joint practices, you're going to, for every single 3 preseason games, you're going to go there first. You're going to have 2 days of joint practice where your starters are really getting a chance to go after it. The people you're going to put on your game day active roster have a chance to go at it. And then you take a day off to rest, and then you play your preseason game. And let people play. And then you go back home, practice for a little bit, shore up, look at some film, and then go do the same thing for your next preseason game. Like, I think we need more of this. I mean, the players need to hit non-teammates. There is only so much before that whistle blows when you're at home that they're going to, stop the play from preventing it. Now, I will say the fights are terrible. That, and there were too many. And Ron, even before this, they went up there. They said, he goes, guys, no BS going on here. We're going up here to go to play and practice. He didn't want to see a repeat of that time where we got into, was with the Texans, where we got into an all-out brawl, years ago. But I loved it. In that time, I think it was either the Patriots or the Texans. They either had a game against the Panthers or the Ravens, and they said to Washington, hey, Redskins, can we come up and practice against you, and then we'll go play our preseason game against somebody else? And I love that from either O'Brien or Belichick. So I want to see more of these, and I hope we do it again next year.
Yeah, Nathan. I agree with you, Nathan, when it comes to the injury side of it, because that we don't need that, especially at this particular time when guys are trying to make the roster. You look for the spot. So obviously, I completely agree. But I mean, to Ab's point, talking about I love joint practices. When we played over at Herndon, and Ab will know this, we did play teams like West Springfield, Robinson, teams that we might not play regularly. And for us, if you play and do good against one of these teams that year after year is a perennial power, then when you play some of your team, it doesn't seem as bad. So I think this is a great opportunity, especially for a young team like Washington, playing you guys, who's an established team. You got your quarterback. Your weapons are looking, nice.
Have an established culture.
That's right. You have these things. You've won recently. So I definitely think it's good because maybe we can get some of what you guys are having success with could rub off on us, because now we're finally in a place where we're ready to accept it. You know what I mean? Not push it away with Dan Snyder.
Dude, that's what happened the last time we did these. Like the reporters talked about, because it was 2013 and 2014. And they were like, they came here and Jay Gruden just got out coached both times by Bill O'Brien and Bill Belichick.
Yes,
and they were like, Tom Brady just tore apart the Redskins defense, and he was yelling at his own guys for not getting in the huddle fast enough. And here we have our quarterbacks and our coach just lackadaisical out there, So it really was a chance to see a winning culture of Baltimore, to see this is what they do. And they talked about how the Ravens, some of those skirmishes happened because the Ravens practice physical. And they said to be ready for it, And so the Commanders reporter said, there's a couple times where they hit the sideline. They could have let go, but that's the way the Ravens practice. And so that is some of the stuff that you want to see translated on, like, hey, you want to see a more successful franchise? Look at what they're doing. Kind of like what EB's been talking about with how he's brought in for training camp.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Anybody stick out? I got somebody that actually stuck out that kind of surprised me. I don't know, Sean, you heard this. Have you heard about Andre Jones?
Yeah.
Our 7th round pick. In a press conference from these joint practices and a little bit from the preseason game, the reporters asked him, and Ron's first words was, wow, yeah, he can play. Yeah. It's like, so, and that's kind of what I'm talking about with why I like these joint practices, is you're getting a chance to get someone who they want to see a little bit out of, go against somebody that's not the 3rd string tackle. It's like they started Jones opposite Montez Sweat. They said, all right, here you go. Here's your opportunity. Show us what you got, and like that's the advantage that I think comes from these practices.
Right. Has anybody stood out to you, Nate?
Yeah. Odafe Owe had 3 sacks on the first team offense. Right. I'm looking at a guy. His name is John Simpson. I think he has a potential to be the starting left guard. He might win that battle. Odell Beckham Jr. and Lamar Jackson, obviously, they're still getting up their chemistry. I really kind of want to see this pass rush because that's something we still haven't addressed right now. Broderick Washington, I know that Justin by the Beacon, they're going to do their things, but I'm curious to see how those guys will look as the preseason progresses, particularly coming in this game against Washington.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. And for me, obviously, it sticks with the quarterback, man. I love him in this type of atmosphere because of the fact that it is more physical, and they have been coming after him. One of the things we saw in the first game is he's not afraid to be mobile. But one of the things we've been seeing in practice is that it's not always about mobility and scrambling out of the pocket and running. It's still keeping your eyes downfield. One of the things they said in the game, he extends the play. Sam is extending the play and doing it against a solid defense like that, and then building a rapport again with Terry, with Jahan Dotson. Here, good. These two are on the same wavelength, and I really love that. I want to see him go up against stiffer and stiffer competition. Not a regular season game. We're not going to see it the whole time, but still going up against those ones. See, you talked about Owe having the 3 sacks. Great. That means we need to focus on O-line. We need to get our guys focused. Because at one point, and this is what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for Sam to get sacked and get up and like, God, come on. You know what I mean? Get fired up and get these guys going to really take control. He has this real calm demeanor that I love, and the players are all with it. But I love that we're playing against y'all because it's gonna be tough. It's been tough.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So look, Nate, you know why we brought you on here, man. We pay attention to Baltimore. I think we can say that's our AFC team. You know what I mean? We love what you guys are doing. You signed your boy that a lot of people were like, oh, they're gonna sign him. Is he worth it? Blah, 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 blah. That's all behind us. Okay. I listen to 98 Rock. Well, somewhat, obviously. I listen to 98 Rock every day, which is the home of the Ravens. And it's funny, they have a commercial. At the end of the commercial, it's Lamar. He's like, I can't wait to play these lights in the next 5 years. And I was like, bro, come on, give me some pronunciation, give me some articulation, my friend. But talk to us, man. We know about Lamar. We know OBJ is in the house. Your receiving staff is looking a lot better. But hey, talk about that defense. Talk about that O-line, that piece of the puzzle, man. Who are the Ravens in 2023?
Well, I think it starts with, after losing to Cincinnati and in the playoffs, I think the Ravens needed to do a reset in terms of culture. I think there was just a lot of things that were happening. I think there was a lack of accountability. I think there was a lot of frustration. I think there was a lack of adjustments. And I think it started with changing the system. And I think getting a guy like Todd Monken, I thought was the answer, in my opinion. Because I feel like Lamar hasn't really gotten his fair dues with the offense that he's had to work with.
Right.
Because he's just kind of been contained. It's not just Lamar. It's really this offense, period. There was a couple things I did have an issue with. I was a little disappointed we weren't really aggressive in terms of really kind of retooling our defense. I value defense. Unfortunately, I know this league doesn't because of analytics and some other reasons. Even though I'm happy we signed Lamar, I've spoken on why I have issues about. It's not about the contract. It's just the next 5 years in the media. I'm not going to speak on that. Losing Calais Campbell hurts because I think he was a true locker room leader. Losing Justin Houston, that hurts. Marcus Peters, I thought that really hurt because I felt like when we traded him from Los Angeles, he kind of brought a mentality that we didn't have for a few years after Ed Reed and those guys, Terrell Suggs, Ray Lewis were left. It was a little disappointing to kind of hear through because I'm on Twitter a lot and there's a lot of Twitter. It's called Twitter Spaces, and there's a lot of spaces where Raven fans talk and give their opinions. And Marcus Peters was kind of the target of, well, he's cooked. quote, where we need to move on from him. And I, even though I like the pickup of Zay Flowers, I really felt like Baltimore should have prioritized a corner with their first round pick. I get it. Zay Flowers, no issue. But now losing Marlon Humphrey
right
for a minute, I think
it. Yeah,
that was already an issue coming into training camp.
Yeah,
where you really you don't have depth at corners, and what you have is not trustworthy. Ronald Darby, I believe, suffered the same injury Marcus Peters had. So I'm going to put my trust in this guy for a year. I don't know where he would. I got to look back at the tape on him respectfully. We still have not addressed the pass rush. That is something that's very, very alarming. This is another year where it's not addressed. I do think that for me, my concern is our running game. I like J.K. Dobbins a lot, and the other guy I feel like has kind of been given the boot, in terms of he can't stay on the field, can't stay healthy, and I feel like if when healthy, when you actually use him consistently, he show you what he can be. So I guess my questions going into this season defensively is who's going to be our sack leader, because Justin Houston did lead the team in sacks last year. Madubuike and Calais Campbell tied for, I think it was like 5.5. We were 5th in the league in terms of sacks. It was Mike McDonald's first year as defense coordinator. But I'm really looking to Odafe Owe and David Ojabo to really have big years and step up. Other than Tyus Bowser, I'm hoping will be back sometime early in the season. Patrick Queen, even though I'm not a fan of them declining his 5th-year option, I still think they should find a way to sign him. And we all know what Roquan Smith is going to be the play caller. Marcus Williams is back. So we're already at a point where we lose arguably a top corner in the league, in my opinion, with Marlon. So that's going to be interesting to see how they're going to hold the fort down until he comes back. I also do think this was interesting that we really had people tweeting Eric DeCosta's wife to say, when you're at dinner, can you please listen Jair Alexander to be traded to the Baltimore Ravens?
Oh my God.
Like, okay.
Yeah, is that even an option?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So other than that, man, I think this team looks pretty good. I'm not. I still have. Everyone seems to be in mid-season form. I still have some questions in terms of the roles in this offense. Particularly, where does Pat Ricard fit in here? Charlie Kohler, Isaiah Likely. How do you get Duvernay and Brochet? Are they on last legs here? Tyler Wallace. I come out of Oklahoma. I was really kind of like Oklahoma State. Like I was rooting for this guy like to be something.
Right.
So there's a lot of questions. And obviously, I think the biggest only question is the offensive line is at left guard. Other than that, everyone's solid. Ronnie Stanley, if he gets, stay healthy.
Right.
That's really about it in terms of the season.
I'm gonna tell you, if Charlie Kohler and Isaiah Likely don't work out, you go ahead and send them down 95. I'll take those 2 tight ends all day. These guys are playmakers, Will. Playmakers. Yes.
Then you have is Logan Thomas still on the roster?
He is. Yeah,
he is.
A little dinged up right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see.
So let me ask you this. This is actually kind of what the question is. You were some of those guys you were just mentioning are like the back end of your wide receiver depth chart. So do you feel, and everyone's criticism of Lamar has always been about passing. All right. And then a good counter has always been like, well, who can he throw to? I mean, Rashad Bateman's always injured, and it's what options does he have out there? Do you feel like Baltimore has done enough to help him out and to put him in a better spot?
Are we talking this past off season? Or are we talking about since he's been in Baltimore?
Right now for 2023.
This off season, yeah.
I mean, I think that the receivers are better than what he's had to work with in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, Odell, I think he can give you at least I think he could give you maybe somewhere between 500, 800 yard reception of the season. Rashard Bateman, I think last year they just rushed him back from that injury. I think he came back too fast. I still think he can. I think he'll have a breakout year.
Mm-hmm. Heard that.
I think that they've maximized the talent. I just think the biggest issue more than anything was just the play calling. Like, I don't think you didn't get as much potential out of what you had to work with last year. I mean, you've got a receiver throwing in a wildcat formation, whatever the hell that was, in triple coverage. Like what is that?
Yeah.
Like, they're running like basic high school routes. Like, Lamar's had a little bit more input. Like, he's saying, let's have these guys run this route, that route. So I think I think it's more about tapping into the potential of what he has to work with. I think you can work with Duvernay, Prochet, Wallace, and those guys. I think they've done enough. Now, Odell, I still have like some questions, but I think he is a good veteran receiver to have. I think a healthy Odell I think could still be a feared wide receiver in this league, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, for me, I think it reminds us of Deshaun Jackson when he came to Washington, back to Washington. And he was kind of injured. He wasn't fully healthy. But when he was healthy, everybody knew he could take the top off the defense. Now, he wasn't able to, fully, produce for us fully that year. We had other pieces. But Odell, I think, is going to have like that. He's not going to have to be the same Odell from the past. He can come in and just be a decoy at times because he's still going to get that respect. And I mean, DBs, if you ask DBs and safeties, they still fear Odell. Odell can still ball.
Sure.
He was good with the Rams.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I would disagree with this comment is when he says not getting Lamar a rider. They did do that. They did get Marquise Brown. So, and we're not going. Let's not sit here and act like they didn't force feed. Lamar did not force feed him the ball. He did have 1,000 yards in that system. So, I think some guys have been just hit and miss. But again, I just think it's a better system, and I think you can better utilize the talent and the potential and get as much as you can out of these guys.
Gotcha. So I got a question for you. So we're talking a little bit about left guard being a concern. If you look on the right side, you got some age there. Kevin Zeitler and Morgan Moses.
He asked to be traded. I'm sorry, Will. He asked to be traded. There's a comment that said then traded. He asked to be traded.
Yeah, he did.
He made it clear he did not like the system.
That's the past, though. We're talking about 2023.
Yes.
So talk to me about the offensive line. Is there any concern there about getting up there in age, or that's going to be key if you want a better running game, like you talked about, better Lamar.
Sure. Yeah, I've always it's funny. I always kind of have this. I call it the Madden mindset. I feel like if a guy is over 30, like 32, 33. It's time to move on.
Yeah.
But I think Kevin Zeitler and Morgan Moses, I think, are still arguably two productive offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
I miss him.
Kind of do.
Gotta deal with him.
I do
he give you those games, man. Go ahead, sorry.
I do think that like Daniel Falele, I think will eventually take over at right tackle. I can actually low-key see Andrew Voorhees being a guard more than a tackle, in my opinion. But I there's some guys there. I'm not too concerned on that. Biggest thing is just them staying healthy.
Sure.
And
those two guys are pretty stalwarts, aren't they? If
yep.
I'm correct, that's not a concern with them.
Yep. So
yeah.
I mean, between Josh Simpson for the left guard, Josh Simpson is another guy we have, like a Vonvo.
Yeah, man, you drafted this guy, and I'm like, who? I've never seen this name before.
I know. Yeah, he's actually looking pretty good.
Yeah,
and he actually might really be the week 1 starter. I'm still holding out a hope on Josh Simpson, but sure. I think he might be the number 1 week 1 starter.
Yeah. So talk to me about then your draft picks this year. You mentioned that Patrick Queen didn't get offered the 5th year, so he may be moving
Disgusting.
on. So you drafted Trenton Simpson. So it doesn't sound like you're real excited about this. Talk to me about some of those draft picks, or basically the Ravens. What they do. They draft these guys later to say so that those other guys they say, okay, bye. Here's our next guy to take over.
Well, I liked the Trenton Simpson pick. I guess my biggest issue was I think Patrick Queen had a good year last season, and I get it. I think putting him in his natural position once we traded for Roquan, you saw him play better, in my personal opinion. I thought for the most part, the biggest thing is the Ravens like to do is really address depth. We didn't really have depth in terms of the linebacking position, even defensive line position at times last year. Because when you're relying on Justin Houston, is leading the team in sacks. Yeah. That's like Deion Sanders leading the team in tackles, and you have no depth. That's just no. So they needed depth, in my opinion. So I think that's what Simpson was for. That's what I think Tre'Davious Robinson was brought in there for. That's just how I feel.
Sure. All right. So I got 2 questions. First one is, you've mentioned a couple of them, but beyond the obvious, who are some names that you think are going to emerge? I think you've heard, the first round pick, Zay Flowers, at wide receiver, but who else do you think is someone that I don't know your roster very well to say, hey,
sure,
look for this guy this season?
Well, I think Rashard Bateman. I think it's I think he, to me, will have a bounce back year. Again, as I said, he was, I think, rushed back too early with that foot injury. J.K. Dobbins, I think, definitely has a lot to prove, especially when he voiced his frustration on social media after the loss in Cincinnati. I think he's on a mission. Same with Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely, I think, will have a good year. Look for Charlie Collier, in my opinion, to have a good year as well. They'll find a way to get him involved in that offense. Again, I'm hoping that I'm using them as an example, Ajabo and Owe to step it up this year. I think they've shown, well, particularly Owe, he's shown flashes of what he can be. So I'm really curious to see how he looks. But we did re-sign Broderick Washington. I think he's going to have a good year. I actually predict he'll lead on the defensive line and solo tackles. In my opinion. Justin Madubuike, I think, will fill a void that Calais Campbell left. So, other than the corners, until Marlon Humphrey comes back, right. Just a prayer.
Yeah,
but no, they'll do fine as long as as long as it's not 2021. I'm okay.
Dear God, those injuries, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We're good on that. So let us move right down the list. Appreciate you guys being here, but we do have a game to talk about. Week 2 of preseason comes out. We are the Monday night game, which is interesting, man. I don't know. That's prime time. How are you feeling about that, Nate? You excited about that?
I'm actually feeling pretty good about that. it'd be nice to have the game spread out, like a nice little Monday night preview, preseason edition, Monday Night Football. So I'm excited for it. It's better than having all the games on all at one time. So I like it.
Very true. Very true. Because there was a situation last week where, especially when we were in a rain delay, I'm stuck watching the Bengals and the Packers. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? I don't want to see Jordan Love. What's going on? I want to see my guys. So yeah, week 2, Commanders at home playing the Ravens. And Alex said, "What's up, guys?" Didn't know
football preseason edition.
Yeah, absolutely. Only for the teams that they anticipate going real far in the playoffs this year.
That's right. That is right. Let's go. But look, hey, let's get into it. The Commanders playing the Ravens, obviously week 2 of the preseason. And we have something on this show that we do, ladies and gentlemen, towards the season. It's called Keys to Victory, which is what we do in the regular season. Today, since it's just preseason, we're going to do Keys to Success. All right, and let's each do, I think, 2, but we'll do 1. We'll go around, each one get 1, and then do the second one. Each one can get it. So give us your first one, Nathan. What is one of your keys to success for your Ravens?
My keys to success is the first half. The first half against Philadelphia. I didn't know what that was. I haven't put the video out yet of all my notes from watching Washington and Baltimore, respectfully. But offensively, they struggled. And it wasn't until the second half that's when everybody woke up. And it started with Tyler Huntley. So I'm looking for them how the first half offense looks.
Okay, I can dig it. Will, what you think?
I'm watching a specific player, Sadiq Charles.
Yeah.
Okay, I already talked about earlier about how he may lose it to Chris Paul, but they also talk about Sadiq Charles practiced on day 1 against the Ravens, did not practice in day 2. They said it was a scheduled day off. They're trying to really nurse this leg calf injury that he's got that he had last year too. But they essentially, so what I'm hearing from a couple of the reporters is the team has said, we're waiting on him for a reason. That they really like what they see from him. So if he gets a chance to get out there and play, I'm going to be watching how he does because, as you said, the greatest ability is availability. And if he can't, for the second preseason in a row, if he's nursing this injury, he can't get out there, he may not only just lose the spot to Chris Paul, or it may just be, we can't rely on you. But there's something there that the coaches see. So I'm going to be watching him out there, along with this offensive line, the fact that they've got a second game, an opportunity to improve on what they showed against Cleveland.
Sure.
Absolutely. My first one is for the offense. That's what I've been focusing on, like Sam Howell, the running game, and everything like that. And number one thing that I want to see from them, regardless of preseason or not, we cannot get behind the chains. We can't have a 2nd and 15. We can't have a 3rd and 20. We can't do any of that because we've clearly shown that we're not that big play offense. We need to be ahead of the chains, getting 2nd and short, 3rd and short, especially when it comes to a defense like Baltimore. And yeah, they're not going to play all their starters, but their backups, that's what I love about Baltimore is the backups are just as hungry as a starter. They know they might get that opportunity to get in there, and that might be their only shot. So I really want to see a full game of us really try to get ahead of the chains and just continually move the ball. Like, I really want to see that. What's your second one, Nathan?
My second one is Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown, well, once Tyler Huntley, after I think was the only quarterback that had a good performance in the game against Philadelphia. Anthony Brown struggled. I watched him, but it wasn't until late to the fourth quarter where he started making the right reads and right IQ, had better IQ. So I'm looking for him to have a bounce back of a preseason game against this Washington defense. So
I like that. Will, what you got, man?
I want to see improvement from our starting defensive line. It was said during the Browns game, that they couldn't get off blocks. We're talking about Montez, We're talking about Jonathan Allen. We're talking about Deron Payne. So I
can't
want to
defend
see
that.
them have some little bit better success. And it also could be the fact that it's preseason. They're just they're going to give some effort, but they're not going to give 100%. But I'd love to see a little bit better performance there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Ab said chemistry, urgency, and no being. Sorry, Ab, my mom might be watching. Yeah, my second one, honestly, it's at home. We saw the amount of fans and our owner that were in Cleveland for the first preseason game. I know it's preseason, but this is the first home preseason game with the new owners. Josh Harris is going to be there. Hopefully, Magic's going to be there. Hopefully, I'm going to be there. I want home field advantage. I want a chant. I want go Commanders. Something. I want excitement. I want them to get hyped up. Normally, these preseason games when we go, and I've been to like last 2 or 3 years, it's really just, hey, let's tailgate before the game, and then let's just this guy's getting in. Oh, this guy scored a touchdown. It's just everybody's doing everything else. It's like the Herndon games when we were starting to dominate, and then the rest of the people in the stands didn't care. Nobody cared because the game was already over. That I want us to be engaged. I want the fans to really get amped up and jacked up for this game. It's a rivalry. It's a rival up north. It's the second preseason game. Just be hyped, man. I love it. Let's go. Yeah. Somewhat full stadium with watching the fans. Yes, Sean. Yeah.
Nice.
Let's just hope we don't have an incident like we had with when the Eagles were here.
Listen,
Hurts.
We were trying to take him out. Okay, we did that on purpose. We were literally trying to take this man out so we didn't have to worry about him in the division. All right, that's what we're gonna say. We're not gonna talk about how bad the stadium is. Daggone it.
Let's give some score predictions.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nate, what you think, man? What's the score? What's your first loss in 25, 26 attempts?
25-0 Washington.
Washington.
Nope. 25-18 Baltimore.
Okay, I was about to say. Will, what you think, man?
Monday Night Football, first home game with new owners. There's a storyline here for the NFL. They got to create storylines. Washington's going to give Baltimore their first preseason loss, 23-16.
Yes.
I like that.
I like that. I do like that. I'm going to keep it a little bit closer. I'm going to say 24-21. I'm going to say we have.
Who kicks the game-winning field goal? Badgley or what's his name?
It's gonna be Badgley
or Slide. Who?
Slide.
Oh, Slide.
Joey Slide.
I think it's going to be Slide because at that particular point, Fromm is going to be in the game, so we're going to have a hard time moving the ball. So I think we're only going to get to like the 50 or the 40.
He's kicking a 52-yarder to win.
Yeah, he's going to need a long kick to win the ball game. So yeah. That's where I'm at, man. Yes, man. All right, Nathan Snell, man. We want to say we appreciate you coming on here, coming on the show. Nate, talk to the people, man. Let the people know what you got going on. What's coming up soon for you, man?
Yeah. So I just started recording. I'm behind. We're starting season 16 of Big Nate Sports Talk podcast. Getting ready to roll into football as my WNBA coverage for the Washington Mystics is about to finish up. We've got at least about a month of that left. College basketball for the men's and women's. That is also getting ready to start soon. College football starting to start soon. I will be covering 3 Washington Mystic home games in person for MarylandSportsBlog.com. So, you're going to see episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up. That includes some issues that happened while I was on vacation, quote unquote, that I wanted to talk about, and then also my notes from the previous Commanders and Ravens games, respectively. So, that's pretty much what's happening in my world. So, that's
going to be tomorrow? They're going to come up, or when are they going to be up?
They're going to be up tomorrow. So they're recorded. I just need to set the times up so they can be ready to go.
Okay, perfect. Definitely, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely check out Nathan Snell YouTube channel. One Nathan Snell, all one word. And his show is Big Nate Sports Talk on all the time, anytime.
Yes, sir.
Anthony Handy in the background, man. So,
Yep.
yo,
Uh-huh.
Nate, we appreciate you. Ab says 16-9 Washington.
I like
Only
it.
9 points. That's
Yeah.
how you. Wow. Okay. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It depends on how long they keep in Lamar, but we'll see. We'll see how
They'll
it plays
probably
out.
play like first quarter.
Series?
So
For
a series.
a full
maybe.
quarter? A full quarter? How much?
They didn't play at all in the first game. The starters didn't.
Oh.
It was just the
You
second,
think-
third, fourth, and fifth stringers.
You think they're going to play it at all?
We'll probably find out tomorrow, knowing John. So
Yeah.
when you hear the press conference, I'll let you guys know. But more than likely, I know by the second game, everyone should. If it's not the second game, the third game, everybody should be playing. So.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to let you guys go. Again, there's football tonight, tomorrow, this weekend, but the only game that matters, Washington versus Baltimore at FedEx Monday night. I think the game starts at 8 p.m.
Yes.
So, hey, be there. Hopefully we will be in the crowd, getting loud, doing our thing. But we got to go ahead and let you go. You see my guy over there, South Carolina's finest. And it's not what?
It's not rabbit season. It's not duck season. It's open season.
Open season, baby. Let's go. It's not what we say. It's not duck season. It's craziness. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we gotta let you guys go. We appreciate you guys checking us out and watching us. Stay tuned for some of the clips and the shorts and things coming from the show, and check out our guy, Mr. Nathan Snell, with all the content he brings out, man. Hey, Nate, we appreciate you coming on here, man.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good rest of your evening. Also, in 15 minutes, NFL Edition comes on. Alex Loosemore, Johnny Dean, Ben Cornett, a lot of those guys. So definitely stay tuned for that. But we'll see you later. Peace.
Stand up, left hand.